Philadelphia Eagles make a big move. They didn't sit around, they didn't do enough, but it is a step in the right direction. But before we get there, I want to play a little bit, a couple of clips of some of the stuff we as fans have been dealing with from our local sports media in terms of how the Eagles have been performing this year. Okay, this is Ike Reese on, of course, WIP.
The problems were on offense. It didn't just boil down to play calling, to a first year play caller. And the Eagles
Hold on, I want to back up a second. I want to make sure I have all of what I have here. Okay, let's go from here. Sorry about that.
salaries a whole lot, but let's be honest. Kevin Patullo is a first year offensive coordinator. He's supposed to take the 29th ranked passing offense somehow and make it what? I don't know. I don't know what it would suffice for everybody else. I don't know. Saquon and the offensive line not playing well. Somehow that's Kevin Patullo's fault. I love Coach Stoutland. He's escaping any blame.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him
He's
once,
the run
Rick.
game coordinator.
I talked about him, Spike. Why have you not mentioned him?
And
Yeah.
again, I love Coach Stout. I'm just saying, if I'm just looking at every facet of what the problems were on offense, it didn't just boil down to play calling.
Are we sure? Are we sure about that? Because first of all, he's being disingenuous, of course, with the 29th ranked because obviously he's going by yards and not looking at the numbers. The Eagles did not have to throw nearly as much last year because of how good the run game was. But when they threw, they were very effective. Jalen Hurts is a career high in his passer rating, averaged a career high 8.0 yards per pass, 18 TDs, 5 interceptions, the whole deal. So the passing game was actually quite good. He just didn't throw the ball 400 or 500 times because they didn't need to. And of course, when you get leads, you also don't have to throw as much. But I want to back this up, and then we're going to get to one other clip. Uh, I wanted to hear you to hear that before
I,
we got to
I
the
think
intro.
we have sort of, as a show, been more of not necessarily pro Kevin Patullo, but certainly not looking to blame him for all of the woes and the inefficiencies of this offense.
Of course, and that has been part of the problem. And you're trying to make excuses for the man because he's a first-time play caller. Let me ask you this, Ike. Why are the defending Super Bowl champions hiring a first-time play caller? Not even a first-time NFL play caller, but literally a first-time play caller. Kevin Patullo has as much experience calling plays in football as I do, and I never coached football. Just something to keep in mind. We got two other short clips I want to play you. By the way, this man, I feel so bad because as a player, Kelsey was one of my favorite Eagles at all time, and then he started getting a lot of attention once he got out of his career. And I really felt like him retiring and then winning the Super Bowl a year after did something to him because it seems like the more he speaks, the less popular he becomes, not just from me, but from Eagles fans. If you look at these comments, but again, listen to Jason Kelsey talk.
And I know that everybody is out on Kevin Patullo. I happen to know the guy. I love Kevin Patullo. I know he's a great coach. I know it wasn't the best performance this year offensively.
You love Kevin. That's great. Kevin Patullo could be the most amazing, wonderful, kind-hearted human being on the planet, and you can love him. That doesn't make him a great coach. It certainly doesn't make him a great offensive coordinator. And I won't even go into them all, but there are a lot of comments about Jason Kelsey basically telling him to politely be quiet. Now, I have one other clip. Okay. I know we're bouncing around, but I just want to give you an idea of what's out there. This and look, I'm Jacob Sports not my favorite for a number of reasons that you probably know, but this is worth a listen.
You had guys like CJ Gardner Johnson. I'm just going through all the guys that I remember seeing in the locker room. CJ Gardner Johnson, Terrell Edmonds, all these former Eagles that I remember seeing like just passing guys talking about them. They were able to diagnose even the players who were like even guys like Jared Verse, what have you, earlier in the season. They all saw certain tendencies that they saw on film, and you're just like it was almost like an open book test.
Oh, everybody knows what they're running. You don't have to be Luke Kuechly to figure out what the Eagles are running.
And there you go. And that is a huge part of the problem. It's not even so much that plays are bad. And I've got some other stuff, actually, film breakdown I want to get to later in the week, but I wanted to get this out there right away because you can see, again, sports media and even ex players who I think are a little bitter. We all know Travis made him. Look, I get it. On the Travis. Travis is Jason's brother, so I get the whole thing. Oh, how he felt bad after they beat him in the Super Bowl and all that. But you don't say that as an ex-legendary Eagle. Like you don't voice that out there. But anyway, so we all know about this, and this is why I want to play this. We got players out there talking about how predictable the Eagles' offense is. And so we've got these guys who want to excuse Kevin Patullo and say, oh, players got to make plays, players got to make plays. And that is 100% true. However, coaches need to put players in position to be successful. And when all these players are saying, we know what they're running, because of their tendencies. We know they line up in this formation and it's this down. Not even that they're running, but we know whether they're running left or whether they're running right because we know where Grant Calcaterra is and things like that. That is a real problem, and that makes it very difficult for players to be successful. This is the same offense as last year. Incredibly, incredibly talented, and it was an absolute disaster this year. One of the worst offenses in the NFL. The change was Kevin Patullo, which of course brings me to this, what you all might know by now. Eagles fire offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. So that Ike Reese thing that was earlier today, I believe. But here we go. Now here's why I say this is a step in the right direction and not the final thing, because Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni announced today that he has fired offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. I have decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision, as he is a great coach who has my utmost respect. He has been integral to this team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career, blah, 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 blah. So to me, and again, Kevin was Nick's hire. This is Nick saving his own job, right? It was kind of like he was told to do this. I'm telling you, if this was up to Nick by himself, there's no way that he fires Kevin Patullo. But the writing was on the wall. Howie may have had a conversation and say, look, man, Kevin's got to go. You wanted this to be a hire. I think you need to go out there and you need to be the one to let him go if you want to stick around. Now, will Nick stick around? That's something else we haven't decided, but that's why I said this is a step in the right direction, because it's twofold. One, I think a lot of us want Nick gone. If Nick is not gone, we don't want Nick hiring the offensive coordinator. And that is what I'm worried about. I think someone needs to be brought in who has enough of a resume where it's also made clear to Nick, just like it was probably made clear you need to fire Kevin. It's got to be made clear to Nick. I said, the offensive coordinator is going to run the offense. It is going to be the offensive coordinator's play calls. It's going to be their philosophy, formations. All of that is going to be in the hands of the offensive coordinator, not they are going to run Nick Sirianni's predictable, boring, conservative offense that was not effective.